Hello, my name is David Butler, and welcome to our first episode of Clark and Addison, Born into the Ivy. I am a lifelong MLB fan, but my passion is and always will be as a Cubs fan. I grew up in the 80s and the 90s watching the Cubs and having childhood heroes such as Andre Dawson, Rick Sutcliffe, Mark Grace, Sean Dunston, Mike Bielecki, Greg Maddux, and of course, Rhino himself. Fast forward to the 2016 World Series champion Cubs, and I am teaching my kids to root for the Cubs as well, in a far different way than we all grew up. My plan is to have a weekly podcast, more if I'm able to go over all things Cubs. Sometimes we will talk about the past, and we will keep up with the current happenings of all things that are Cubs related. During the offseason, we will dream up what can be changed and how we want the team to improve. Most of all, though, we will just love our Cubs and root for them always. On today's episode, we will go over the players on the 40-man roster and the non-roster invitees who I think and or hope can make the team and who could have a breakout season. Obviously, this is Super Bowl Sunday, but it is also the first day that the pitchers and catchers report for our beloved Chicago Cubs. Let's start with our starting pitchers. 1 and 2 are pretty much locked down with Justin Steele and Shota Imanaga. Whoever you view as the number 1 starter versus the number 2, I think they are pretty darn close. How great would it be to get another stud to go in between them that's a righty? But for now, those two are the top 2, followed by what I think are probably locks for the rotation unless something weird happens in spring training, with Jamison Taillon and Matthew Boyd. Then we got 4 more pitchers who are probably vying for the final and 5th spot, unless the Cubs go with a 6-man rotation, which I think could happen on occasion. You got Javier Assad, Colin Rea, Jordan Wicks, and Ben Brown. All of them have great things, potentially, as a starter, and all of them have reasons why they might fit better in the bullpen, which is getting kind of crowded because Jed has done exactly what he said he was going to do and gotten quite a bit of depth for possible rotation and bullpen players. I think Javier Assad should start out in the driver's seat. I think he's earned that over the past 2 years, but I think Ben Brown has by far the most upside. Ben Brown might be better off to start in the bullpen, though, just because of his injuries that he's had in the past, and to try and get some major league experience consistently where he can go all out but not have to worry about overdoing it in a 5 or 6 inning start. So I would give the nod to Javier Assad, I apologize, to start out. I think Jordan Wicks would do very, very good either in the bullpen or starting out. Or if he has to go to AAA for a little bit, he'll end up back up here. He's a big piece of that. For the late innings relief pitchers, I really like the acquisition of Ryan Presley and what he can add for the team. It allows Porter Hodge to kind of settle in and get himself quality time as a major leaguer. He's got some really special stuff and things that I think he can develop into an excellent closer eventually. For that matter, so could Ben Brown. I like the acquisition of Eli Morgan and Ryan Brashear to complement late innings and give us some flexibility with who can pitch where and bridge the gap to get to Ryan Presley as the closer. Other pieces of the bullpen, we got Julian Merriweather, Nate Pearson, Tyson Miller, Keegan Thompson, Ethan Roberts, Caleb Killian, Caleb Theobar, Cody Petit, and then Ben Brown, Jordan Wicks, Colin Rea, and Javier Assad. Some kind of combination of those with that. Non-roster invitees, there's a lot of them. We got Phil Bickford, Brandon Birdsell, Ben Heller, Cade Horton, Brandon Hughes, Brad Keller, Brooks Kriske, Riley Martin, Trevor Richards, and Antonio Santos, among others. Brad Keller is the one who really jumps out at me as somebody who could really make an impact and make the team. He has struggled here the last couple of years, but his first 3 years in the league were mighty impressive. And I think he could really have an impact on this pitching staff. And if he does well, that could really bode well for the entirety of the 2025 Chicago Cubs. Now about some of these prospects with the Ben Brown, Jordan Wicks. I'm not sure Wicks is still a prospect, but he's still young. Cade Horton, Brandon Birdsell. These guys are guys who have tons of potential and can really be a big part of the 2025 Cubs, but also beyond. So it'll be interesting to see how they do, how the Cubs utilize them throughout the season and through AAA, maybe AA. I think most of those guys are all going to be part of between AAA and Chicago. So, and how that can be impactful to the team now and going forward. Keegan Thompson, Caleb Killian, and maybe even Ethan Roberts are guys who need to have a very good spring to have a chance at making the roster and or potentially be able to stay with the club and go down to AAA. I know that Keegan Thompson and I think Caleb Killian are out of options after this year. So this is kind of their last chance, I think. Tell me you guys' thoughts. What do you guys think about the pitching staff and where we're going with it? Catcher is very, very interesting to me. We have Miguel Amaya. The Cubs got Carson Kelly, who has a very good bat, does a good job of handling the pitching staff in Arizona when he was there to back up and or split time. I think with Miguel, I think it's more about splitting time. But they also have Moises Ballesteros, who should be able to come up and be part of the Major League team this year if Miguel Amaya struggles again. Hopefully Miguel Amaya really figures something out with the bat at the end of last season, and that continues and carries on through this year, because if that's the case, then I think he does a pretty good job of handling the staff. He'll continue to learn alongside Carson Kelly with all that, and that could really be strength for the Cubs this year instead of a weakness that it was last year. First base, we got Michael Busch. I'm not sure who really is going to back him up yet. Probably John Birdie, unless the Cubs add something else to go with that. So Michael Busch, I think, is pretty solidified at first base at this point. Again, unless some kind of major impactful move happens between now and the start of the season. Second base, up the middle with shortstop and second, we got Nico and Dansby. Nice defensive combination. Need to get more out of them offensively this year to really make an impact. That's something that the Cubs are going to need to do to bring home a division championship like people want and we want, and what their expectations are. So Matt Shaw right now is the quote-unquote not incumbent, but third base guy. He looks like he's in the driver's seat unless there is some kind of other move made. This is the only thing I'm going to talk about that's somebody that's not currently on the 40-man roster right now. But, man, how awesome would it be to get Alex Bregman to come in, and Matt Shaw can be a super utility guy and really get his feet wet that way instead of having to press. Hopefully he doesn't have to press, but that's something that is a scary possibility right now. And if he struggles, then that could be an issue with third base. So, of those four positions, we need more offensively from Nico, Matt Shaw, and Dansby Swanson. Michael Busch looked pretty good last year. I'd like to see him make another leap, but he had a nice, steady rookie season to get it going. In the outfield, it's pretty much set. Ian Happ, Pete Crow Armstrong, Kyle Tucker, and as the DH, Seiya Suzuki. I don't see that changing too much. There's some solid depth, though, with possibilities, especially with Seiya. I mean, Seiya could come in and play either of the corner outfield positions, and Ian Happ can play center if he has to. So, but Pete Crow Armstrong, if he makes a huge leap and those other guys play like they're supposed to, that's one heck of an offensive outfield and a pretty solid defensive outfield, to be honest. So, not solid. It's a great defensive outfield with Kyle Tucker in right field and Seiya. And then Seiya with his solid bat. He doesn't do ever anything like crazy spectacular, but man, he is good. And he's so underappreciated, in my opinion, by a lot of Cubs fans. Other young guys that I hope that we'll see throughout the year: Owen Cassie, Kevin Alcantara, Moises Ballesteros. I already talked about him some. And James Triantos. Sorry, I was struggling to get that name. Having James as a possibility to come up and help spell sometimes, and maybe even any of those guys might be able to make a big impact this year. So the farm is coming. We've got some really good players. There's zero reason to not to expect this team to win a division title and to challenge for it and to challenge into those 90-win mark. I expect a great year, and I'm very hopeful for that. However you subscribe to your podcast, I thank you for listening to my first episode here on Clark and Addison, Born into the Ivy. Please like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our future episodes. Also, if you feel so inclined, please make sure to leave a 5-star review, leave me some comments, and have a great Super Bowl Sunday. Let's go Cubbies, and enjoy the ride.
Living on the water, counting days since last summer.